8:10 everybody, and Andrew Cuomo says he's in it to win it in the race for City Hall, this time as an independent candidate. Pix 11 continues to be your local election headquarters. We're bringing you a reaction from the incumbent mayor, Mayor Eric Adams, who calls Cuomo a double-digit loser and claims Cuomo went back on his word. Mayor Adams is joining me now live in studio with a reaction about how this mayoral race is shaping up. Mr. Mayor, great to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
And Mr. Mayor, before we get to the race, I have to ask about news of the day and this monumental flooding we saw play out last night. A lot of folks this morning saying, how are we still experiencing some of this flooding? The MTA says that we're seeing flooding in the subway system because they need the city to open up some of these sewage lines that can drain some of this water faster. Is that something you're looking at?
Of course, so we always want to coordinate with the MTA. This is news to me if they communicated with us, but we'll find out what happened. That's our goal.
Yeah, he was saying that the city handles the storm drains and the runoff, and if you open that, it could allow some of the flooding to dissipate.
The team, Chief of Staff Camille Joseph-Wallach is our extreme weather coordinator, and we were on this morning. She briefed us, and we'll communicate with the MTA and find out what we could do to collaborate. Overall,
Mr. Mayor, you know, we've spent so much attention over the last couple of years because of Sandy on the coastal areas, right? But this is rain that needs somewhere to go. What could you do now as mayor or moving forward to pay attention to the actual infrastructure rather than the coastal areas? Not that they aren't important.
Right. And that's what we're seeing. Probably a few years back when we saw how much the inner city is being impacted by these storms. You know, when you're talking about in the flood areas about 14 inches, you know, we have about 2 inches overall. And if you were out there yesterday, the rain was coming down. And our sewer systems are really not built to actually handle this much rain. And that's why so much is being done to deal with flood mitigations. And again, you have to constantly, Mother Nature is going to do what she wants to do, and we have to always be prepared to the best of our abilities.
Evacuations, any loss of life?
No, thank God for that. We did a great deal of notification ahead of time, particularly in those areas where you have basement apartments. Our goal is information, and people are really using Notify NYC, which is helpful.
I want to turn now to politics. Obviously, the big story right now, Andrew Cuomo launching his independent run, saying he owes it to New Yorkers to run again. But he did it with this caveat of this idea of looking at a poll in September, seeing who the leader is among the four of you, and then coalescing around one person, meaning he would drop out if he's not.
No, he won't. Don't listen. You got to know Andrew, Dan. You know, this was all Andrew's plot from the beginning. He set this scenario up. Let's remember that. I was already on the independent line. We knew that. I announced it. Madani was going to be on the Workins Family Party's line. We knew that. He announced. It wasn't announced, but we knew that was his spot. Andrew in the primary, he then decides to get on an independent line. He set this whole scenario up to, you know, potentially split the vote of those who are aligned to make sure our city does not move in the wrong direction. It was the wrong thing to do. He lost in the primary, double digits. Day before the race, his team put out a poll that stated he was 10 points up. He lost by 13 points. It really is unfair to the city what he's doing. It's selfish and it's typical Andrew.
So looking at this plan, though, because it's not just his plan. It was something the former governor David Paterson said, Jim Walden said it. If you are not the leader in a poll come September, will you step aside and coalesce around somebody, or are you in this fully no holds barred until November?
Okay, first I want to talk about, you said it was Governor Paterson, it was Jim Walden's, it was Andrew's plan.
Okay.
This is how Andrew operates. He holds these committees, these panels, he has people send things out, and then he comes to say, oh, it sounds like a good idea. I have a master's in public administration, a PhD in Cuomo. I know this man. Cuomo created the mess that our city has gone through. He created bail reform that put criminals on our streets, 15,000 nursing homes deaths that we witnessed, the closing of psychiatric beds that you see, mental health crises, cannabis law. We had to close 1,400 shops. I could go on and on and on. He created this mess in Albany. Now we're going to allow him to create it in our city. We've come too far to go backwards. I'm in this to the end, to continue what we've done in this city.
So I asked Kersley with the same question, saying, looking at numbers in September, what it may be, there is zero chance that you step aside and don't mount an actual campaign, that you follow this through to November.
I'm all the way to November. Even during difficult times of COVID, of migrant asylum seekers, I never stepped down and moved away from my job. He stepped down from his job as governor. New York City is not a consolation prize that now you want to come and do what you did in Albany to do to our city. Our city deserves better.
So with that being said, Mr. Mayor, you see the polls where they are right now. And some of them you're in third place, some of them you're in fourth place. One poll from Slingshot had you in fourth place. Your unfavorables in that poll were at 62%. So since you are saying you're in it till November, and your unfavorables are 62%, what are you going to do to change a New Yorker's mind in the next couple of months?
Finally get the story out, Dan. You heard me say this over and over again. If we do an honest analysis of what has taken place 3.5 years, has our story ever been told?
We've been telling it.
Yes, and you are, this station is probably, television media is probably the only way you hear some of the great things we've done. More jobs in the city's history. Lowest level of shootings and homicide in recorded history in the last 6 months, and we continue to deal with the public safety. 22,000 illegal guns off the streets, decrease in unemployment, particularly in black and brown community. Axe the tax for the working class, no income tax for low-income New Yorkers, paying off medical debt, $30 billion back in the pockets of New Yorkers. This is my opportunity to communicate directly to voters by using my dollars to do that, campaign dollars.
Do you look at the way the race is right now with you, Jim Walden, Curtis Sliwa, and Andrew Cuomo? Do you worry that the vote will be split, which will then lead to Zohran Mamdani winning?
I do. I am worried about that.
So what do you do?
That's why Andrew should not have done this.
But but that's the reality now.
No, the reality that he created and the reality that he could fix. Well, listen, he has a history, Dan, and this is what New Yorkers need to learn. He did it to Cuomo when he was running to be the first black governor. He did it to David Patterson when David Patterson was the governor.
But David Patterson endorsed him.
He did it to David Patterson when David Patterson was the governor, and he did things to get him out. He did it to Charlie King when he ran for AG. He did it to Keith Wright. We have to show the history of who he is and how he operates. He has always gotten a pass because of his dad's last name, but Andrew Cuomo, he does this over and over again. Bill de Blasio talked about these mechanisms. It's wrong what he did. He put himself in front of the city. I'm going to stay focused on the race and let the city know what we've done.
Yeah, and take Andrew Cuomo out of the equation then.
Yes.
Curtis Sliwa, Jim Walden. Do you worry that they'll split the vote?
No, I don't. Here's what we must do. And you know, it's interesting. I've talked about this 6 months ago, where we were going to be today. I knew that Mamdani was going to win that primary, and I was waiting to face him head on because we are diametric on what we believe the city should be. I believe the city should be safe. He wants to defund police. I believe that we should support local businesses. He wants to do things that hurts local businesses. I believe in supporting small property owners. He wants to do things that hurt small property owners. So there's a clear difference between the two of us. And I know that there's a pathway of, when you look at the number of people that voted and the number of people that are registered to vote, there's an overwhelming number of people that have yet to communicate who they want this
Two
leader
things
to
I
be.
want to just set the record straight on. Did
Yes.
you ever offer Curtis Sliwa this job to be Deputy Mayor of Public Safety? Okay, that's your answer? Got it?
The answer is no. That makes no sense at all. You know, when you live in a house with 13 cats, one bedroom, that is unsafe.
Okay. And then the issue of affordability. And this is something I know you've been laser focused on. You and I have had many conversations about making the city more affordable. But that is something that Mamdani won on.
Yes.
So what is your plan for affordability to make a New Yorker understand that you are the right man to make the city more affordable?
Well, one thing I'm not going to do, because he studied poverty. I lived in poverty. And the worst thing you could happen is give broken promises to people that's looking for relief. New Yorkers are going to learn in the next couple of months of what we did. $30 billion back in the pockets of working class people. There's no income tax now for low-income New Yorkers because of what we've done. Paying off the tuition for foster care children, reducing the cost of MetroCard. When you start to see what we have done, And now we're going to add to that on building more affordable housing in our city. Our city of yes proposal is now allowing building all over the city. The inventory issue that we're facing. We move more people out of homelessness into permanent housing in individual years in the history of the city. And so I know how we deal with the affordability issue based on what we've done, and we're going to continue. We're going to deal with student loans. We have proposals that we're dealing with student loans. Millions of dollars we're going to save for New Yorkers. So we know how to deal with the affordability issue because we've done it already, and we're going to continue to do it.
Mr. Mayor, it's great to have you back here in the studio for the Picks That Morning. It was great to see you, and thanks for coming by, okay?